The episode begins in Beijing in 1966. During the infamous re-education program, a defiant physics professor was publicly humiliated. When he refuses to confirm, the authorities bring out his wife, who begs him to comply, and their daughter, Yi Wei-ji, watches helplessly as her father is beaten to death. She vows revenge on the Red Guard, and fast forward to London 2024, where a bizarre murder occurs. Dr. Muhammad is found dead with his eyes gouged out, surrounded by numbers scrawled in blood, forming a countdown and an ominous message that reads, "I still see it." At the Oxford University Particle Accelerator, Vera Yi despair as their project faces shutdown. Despite their findings defying the laws of physics, Vera encourages Saul before tragically drowning herself in a mysterious pool of water. Elsewhere, scientists Augie and Jin discuss the strange results from particle accelerators worldwide. These anomalies linked to the mysterious countdown perplex the scientific community, and Augie experiences bizarre symptoms, seeing an orange hue that morphs into a countdown timer. Detective Clarence Shy, surrounded by smoke in his office, investigates the connections between the scientists. After Vera's death, he marks her off his pinboard and scrutinizes the others. Jack Rooney, a former scientist turned rock star, attends Vera's funeral as a friend. Augie, distressed in seeing the countdown timer everywhere, has consulted a neurologist with no clear diagnoses. After the funeral, Detective Clarence Shy follows Mike Evans of Evans Energy, snapped photos as Evans departs in a helicopter. In a small pub, the group discusses Vera's death and Augie's condition, and Augie leaves upset after Jack jokes about Saul, hinting at a past romantic relationship between her and Saul, though the details remain unclear. Augie heads out for a cigarette and meets a strange woman who performs the countdown, asking how much time is left. The woman warns Augie to shut down her work with nanofibers, advising her to look at the stars at midnight the next day. She gives Augie a strange token and mentions the stars winking, leaving an ominous impression. Back in Inner Mongolia in 1967, soldiers at a secretive base with a huge satellite dish conduct top-secret work. Yi Wei-jin, among laborers destroying the land, secretly learns English but is caught and sent to division headquarters by Commander Song. In her cell, Yi Wei-jin, shivering under a thin blanket, is visited by Ten Lu-ha, and she's told to read a document and testify against her father's associates to return to the construction corps. Yi refuses, resulting in a bucket of cold water being thrown on her in her bed, and over time, Yi Wei-jin's work from prison attracts interest from scientists at a military base, and due to her brilliance, she's allowed to rehabilitate there and commits to spending her life on the research. In London, we move to the headquarters of the Strategic Intelligence Agency, known as the Black Palace, where Clarence Shy investigates the Oxford Five. This was his last chance to salvage his career after being fired from multiple law enforcement agencies, and we see Jin visiting Vera's mother, Ye Wei-jin, and learns Vera was working with a games console before her death. Intrigued, Jin tries the headset and is transported into a virtual world with a temple and a rising sun revealing a skeleton, causing her to scream and remove the headset. The fateful day arrives for Augie, who invites Saul to watch the universe wink with her, and Saul notes the token she received from the strange woman stopped being made in 1963, and as they banter, they watch the stars at midnight. Suddenly, the stars light up and blink in and out, and Saul realizes that it's Morse code and deciphers it, discovering the number's correspondence to Augie's countdown. News of the unexplained blinking star spreads widely, and Saul visits Vera's mother, Ye Wei-jin, to discuss the theory. Saul thinks it's nonsense since no satellites recorded the event, and suspects a deepfake, though he's unsure who could have orchestrated the entire thing. And Yi seems to know more than she reveals. Augie, distracted by the countdown timer, faces a critical moment at work with only 5 minutes left. After a successful nano-experiment, she decides to shut everything down, and following the advice that she received, and as she leaves the office, the countdown stops, and outside, Clarence Shy was waiting for her, seeking her help. In Mongolia, in 1968, experiments continued with no response. Yi Wei-jin believes their signal was too weak and proposes involving Dr. Peterson, a Californian scientist. Yang, taken with her, gets Peterson's details. Peterson's team also receives an intense radio burst, theorized to be from Jupiter, amplified by the sun. Yi Wei-jin suggests using the sun similarly to boost their signal for interstellar communication, and confident in the idea, she wants China to lead this breakthrough. Yang steals Yi Wei-jin's work and presents it to Commander Lei as his own. The commander dismisses the idea and reprimands them both, and rebelling, Yi Wei-jin secretly moves the satellite toward the sun before the experiment, hoping it would work without the others realizing. The outcome of Yi Wei-jin's experiment was not seen, but she continues to push boundaries, and she finds solace in an American who shares her worldview. However, the other scientists at the Red Coast base were unhappy and moved their work to a different site. They do, however, help her exact revenge on the girl who killed her father, and the girl now lives a miserable life with an arm lost to a grenade, doing backbreaking labor, yet she refuses to repent. In the present, Dashi questions Augie about Vera's relationship with Mike Evans, the owner of the world's largest private oil company, whose presence at the funeral raises questions. Clarence reveals the CCTV footage doesn't show the mysterious woman from the alleyway and appears untampered. Someone lit Augie's cigarette, suggesting that she spoke to someone, but there's no solid evidence. Clarence also explains that the countdown phenomena was real, causing scientists worldwide to quit or meet tragic ends like Vera. Jin becomes intrigued by the game and dons her headset again. She was approached by NPCs, including the Count of the West, who engages her to solve a riddle and choose a name. She picks Copernicus and must decide when a civilization is stable or chaotic. Bizarrely, as the sun rises, a character named Fowler dehydrates instantly, and they roll her up. Jin, curious, gets Jack involved. He puts on the headset but encounters a woman who tells him he's not invited and then attacks him. Each time he tries, he faces the same results, and unbeknownst to them, Clarence has bugged their phone and listens to their conversations. Jack returns home to find his own headset and a card inviting him to join, and this game is similar but features an NPC in Middle English gear instructing him to rehydrate the masses. His excitement fades when he learns Will has stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and Jack encourages Will not to give up. Meanwhile, Clarence visits the graveyard to honor his wife and meets the strange woman again, and she speaks about the futility of death, revealing her father was killed by a bullet, while Clarence's wife died of breast cancer. They walk past a grave marked Edith Marsh, and Augie tries to contact Saul, but he was too busy partying. When he shows up at the door in the morning, Augie scolds him for his immaturity, realizing she can't depend on him. Jin becomes engrossed in the game and visits a temple where the Count has arranged sticks for divination. Skeptical, Jin listens to the Count predicting 8 days of chaos, followed by 63 years of stability. Zhao asks for the sky to open, and Jin touches the ground, and in 8 days, the world renews with the sea rehydrating the bodies. Jin rehydrates Fowler, but a massive storm soon brings chaos. Fowler begs for help, but freezing winds shatter her and everyone else to dust. A strange woman explains that Civilization 137 was destroyed by extreme cold. Despite the failure, Jin's correct scientific predictions allow her to complete the level, and she must now use science to save the next civilization in level 2. Back in the 60s, Yi Wei-jin was alone in the office at night when she notices a signal from the satellite. Checking the log, she sees numbers followed by the ominous message, "Do not answer" in Chinese symbols, warning that responding will lead to conquest. Driven by curiosity, Yi Wei-jin replies, "Come, we cannot save ourselves and I will help you conquer our world." The scene shifts to CERN in Switzerland, and Clarence Shy finds a headset in a scientist's safe, amidst reports of 30 scientist deaths and abandoned projects. The Oxford Five discuss recent events, and Will talks to Jin but hides his cancer, and Augie finds a headset in Jack's room and is attacked in-game, and Jin and Jack, unaware Vera played before her death, remain engrossed. Jack can't identify who left the headset, and Saul warns it might have caused Vera's suicide. Augie makes them promise to stop playing, but they secretly continue. Jin, deeply invested, teams up with Jack in two-player mode, encountering the Fowler, who remembers her deaths in every civilization. Jin and Jack meet the Pope, explaining the three-body star problem, and the Pope, unhappy with their theory, orders Jin burned. Chaos ensues, but Jin and Jack survive and move on to the next level. Clarence discovers the headset has biometric sensors, suggesting players are being monitored. It might be a recruitment tool, but its purpose was unclear. Will, under anesthesia for surgery, speaks in riddles about Raj and mocks Jack's imaginary hat. Augie faces pressure from her business associates to restart the nanofiber tech, and he believes she's breaking down and threatens to proceed without her. When Augie restarts the machine, the countdown returns and she quickly shuts it off, and distressed, she calls Sol, but he was with someone else, so she hangs up. In the game, Jin and Jack enter level 3 in Sangdu, where Kublai Khan resides. They found Fowler, now part of the army and losing faith in Jin, and meeting the Khan, they see Newton and Turing have organized the army into a formation resembling binary code like a human computer. The army uses flags to signal a human abacus, predicting chaos for 8 months, and Jin proves it inaccurate, and gravitational forces cause the army to float. Realizing their goal was to save people and not the world, Jin and Jack move to level 4. Mike Evans monitors the game, vetting Jin and Jack for the London summit, and he communicates with an AI or alien entity, tying back to Ye Wei-jin's messages in the 60s. Jin and Jack are invited to the Sunset Lounge in Shoreditch. Clarence watches them enter, but misses their meeting with the mysterious woman, who reveals answers in level 4. In level 4, the AI-voiced woman and Fowler explain their planet's chaos requires fleeing, but they built an interstellar fleet for Civilization 9478, heading to Earth. The Santee, first contacted by Ye Wei-jin, were 4 light-years away. Jack leaves thinking it's a scam, but Jin believes and stays, and her loyalty earns her an invite to join Global Champions, with coordinates to her next location. Jin's dedication stems from being displaced during the Hubei flood. Clarence waits outside Jack's house, watching through glass windows. Inside, Jack experiences electrical issues and encounters the strange woman from the Santee. She confronts him about not continuing with the game, saying all he had to do was keep playing, before stabbing him and leaving him in a pool of blood. And Clarence, outside watching, sees none of this, and the woman disappears without a trace. In 1982 London, Ye Wei-jin meets Evans during an astrophysics conference. Over lunch, Evans mentions knowing about her father's tragic fate, and Ye Wei-jin, aware of Evans' background and his oil company, trusts him and reveals her communication with the Santee. In the present, Will was discharged from the hospital, picked up by Saul instead of deceased Jack, and CCTV footage shows Jack being killed by an invisible assailant, and Clarence explains that none of the 18 cameras captured the strange woman. Jin, visibly shaken, was questioned by Clarence and his boss, Tom Wade, and Wade instructs Augie to stop working and Jin to go underground to find Jack's killers. Jin believes the Santee are real and approaching Earth. Meanwhile, Wade and Clarence track Mike Evans to a ship in the Mediterranean. Evans communicates with the Santee via radio. His lord warns him that his enemies know his location and promises protection, suggesting that the Santee can see him. This unnerves Evans, especially when he reads Little Red Riding Hood to them, and the Santee, unfamiliar with deception, become afraid and cut off communication with Evans. Jin infiltrates the society as instructed by Wade, who warns her not to bring her phone. She meets with the Santi group and is driven to a conference hall filled with others who completed the game. Wade and Clarence listen in as Dr. Ye Wei-jin, Vera's mother, address the audience, and Clarence realizes that the Santi have controlled everything the group has seen and heard, raising questions about why they're revealing the truth about Wei-jin now. Ye Wei-jin announces the Santi will arrive in 400 years, but her speech is interrupted by Wade's men, who storm the hall and detain everyone. Wei-jin instructs compliance, believing the Lord will protect them, and chaos erupts when the strange woman spots Jin, leading to gunfire. Clarence protects Jin while Wei-jin observes the violence unfold, and the strange woman escapes in the chaos, and in the ambulance, Jin receives a call from Will and reveals everything that's happened. Back in 1984, Evans and Ye Wei-jin visit a helicarrier, where Evans confirms the Santi's messages are real and that they're coming, and their discussion turns romantic. In the present, Wade confronts Ye Wei-jin about Santi's power in Judgment Day, and Wei-jin hints at the Santi's immense power and promises that everyone will be grateful when they arrive. Wade and Raj verbally spar, leading Wade to recruit Raj for a crucial mission, stopping Evans' ship, Judgment Day, by any means necessary. This intel comes from Clarence, who interviews Ye Wei-jin about her 70s message. She defends her actions, believing humanity needed saving and that the Santi's arrival is paramount. Ye Wei-jin reveals she tried to shield Vera from the alien ordeal, and that Evans is Vera's father, whom she met only at the funeral. Ye Wei-jin also recruited Jin, and the key to rapid Santi communication lies on the advanced ship, Judgment Day. To uncover the truth, Clarence realizes they need to capture the ship, potentially using Augie's nanofiber technology. Clarence and Augie head to the lab, and Augie nervously drinks heavily before switching the machine on, expecting the countdown to 0. To her relief, the countdown stops entirely, and Clarence suggests this because the Lord had stopped protecting its flock. They meet with Wade, who briefs naval officers about a secret project led by Raj, and the Judgment Day ship is headed to the Panama Canal, arriving in 26 hours, and the nanotech project aims to destroy the ship, resulting in many deaths, and Augie's happy with Raj's involvement, but he insists its necessity for war. In Panama, Augie's nanotech annihilates the ship, killing everyone on board, and Evans faces death clutching a red device, asking for forgiveness. Clarence and Wade find the intact red box amidst the wreckage, containing advanced information that they can't decipher. On a monitor, the Santi revealed 28 gigabytes of text and media files, along with 100 terabytes of files. Wade shows Ye Wei-jin a recorder detailing Evans' interactions with the Santi, including the lair conversation, and Ye Wei-jin was shocked, realizing the aliens might be turning hostile. Elsewhere, a lawyer informs Will that he inherits half of Rooney's estate, about $20 million. Will was unhappy as he doesn't want scientists probing him for a cancer cure, which Jack had wanted. He tells Saul that he prefers to enjoy good food and the stars, and Wade asks Jin about higher dimensions and brings her to the HQ, and they put on headsets and enter a game world, a post-apocalyptic wasteland. The AI woman explains that humanity is advancing too quickly, and that the Santi plan to destroy science from within using sophons, protons turned into sentient computers. These sophons manipulate higher dimensions to alter reality, creating illusions and doomsday prophecies. 4 sophons exist, entangled in pairs, and 2 are on Earth, and 2 are with the Santi. They move faster than light and entered the solar system months ago, and their goal is to disrupt science by distorting reality. To demonstrate their power, all electronic devices blink out, replaced by a universal message: "You are bugs." A veil covers the sky, revealing a giant eye looking down and reflecting the world below, and a mass panic erupts worldwide, dubbed the Eye in the Sky event. Militaries are deployed to control rioting, but the UN struggles to manage the narrative. Jin visits Ye Wei-jin, who recalls a Red Guard message demanding they forge a new world. Realizing her actions have doomed humanity, Ye Wei-jin clings to the hope of alien salvation, despite knowing their dark intentions. Jin, furious, calls her a traitor and leaves her alone. At Wagewood Manor, Wade and soldiers plan to defeat the Santi. Wade insists on advancing their research while targeting the Santi, despite the overwhelming odds. Wade plans to send a probe to intercept the enemy fleet, but the mission would take 398 years. He asks Jin for a quicker solution, and shocked but determined, Jin proposes using nuclear pulse propulsion, where his ship would be propelled by atomic bomb explosions in space. In his office, Raj requests to join the Space Fleet team, and Wade criticizes him for not coming sooner, but allows him to join, specifically on the team building a base on the moon. Jin arrives bringing a housewarming gift and a gesture of peace after the recent turmoil. When Augie learns Jin is working with Wade, she pleads with her to stop, fearing about another trouble. Despite their beautiful conversation by the water, Jin leaves in the morning, placing a paper origami boat in the water, and Will misses his chance to express his feelings. Encouraged by Saul and Augie, Will decides to confess his feelings later, but changes his mind upon seeing Jin with Raj. He returns to the shore, realizing that Augie was the one that Jin needs, and praises her. Clarence confronts Ye Wei-jin, demanding to know why Vera jumped. He reveals Vera intercepted messages between her and Evans, leading to her offing herself because of shame. Clarence decides to keep a close watch on Ye Wei-jin. Augie decides to support Jin's work with Wade, and meanwhile, Will, inspired by the origami boats, visits the Stars, our destination, which is a donation center, and buys a star symbolizing his renewed sense of hope. Saul talks to Will about the star he bought, which is 401 light years away, so Jin can see it, and Will later passes out and is taken to the hospital, where his family discusses his health. And meanwhile, in the lab, they successfully freeze and revive a chimpanzee named Kolia, proving the experiment's potential for humans. Wade wants a human volunteer and thinks Will is ideal, and Augie and Jin question the ethics but continue working, and Wade, mentioning Will, hastily calls someone to spearhead the Wallfacer project. Augie and Jin work on the radiation sail progressions, but it's too much for Augie, who leaves, and she discovers her sponsor, Danis, has taken over the Nano project. In retaliation, Augie leaks everything on WikiLeaks, making it public. Then at the hospital, Jin visits Will and talks about the Staircase project. Will confesses his love for Jin, and though he decides not to sign the contract, Wade insists he's perfect for the project and will follow up soon. Ye Wei-jin, feeling reflective, calls Saul, and they visit Vera's grave, where she praises Saul's intelligence and questions why he's not independent. Meanwhile, Tatiana, the woman who escaped earlier, communicates with the Santi from the caravan, realizing she's part of something much bigger. Back at the hospital, Saul warns Will against signing his life away, fearing the Santi will exploit him, and despite this, Will signs the contract, and when Jin arrives, it was too late to stop him. Ye Wei-jin, aware she's being followed, travels to Mongolia with her tail, visiting the old army base. Finding it abandoned and the satellite destroyed, she contemplates jumping off a cliff, and Tatiana arrives, persuading her not to jump and offering a gentle, painless alternative. They watch the sunset together, with Tatiana reassuring Ye Wei-jin that she deserves rest after working so hard. While outside with his date talking cynically about humanity, Saul is knocked off the pavement by a skater, causing a chain reaction where a silver Prius, the Uber Saul called, hits his date, and as she lies there bleeding, Saul remembers her name Nora. Saul was questioned by Clarence, who knows about his meeting with Ye Wei-jin, and Clarence reveals Ye Wei-jin was dead and that a self-driving car hit Nora, suggesting that the Santi may have been targeting Saul. Saul is given bulletproof clothes and taken to New York, where he's brought to the United Nations meditation room for a big ceremony. He's selected to join the Wallfacer Project, a crucial initiative where 3 individuals will devise a plan to defeat the Santee. These Wallfacers can use any resource without explanation, as the aliens can't read their mind but infiltrate every facet of humanity. However, he outright rejects the position and tries to leave alone. As he exits, he's shot in the shoulder and falls, and Clarence quickly rings Wade and gets Saul back inside their medical attention, and Saul survives with a broken rib and a sniper wound, and Clarence was there when he wakes up, and Saul meets the shooter, who apologizes for not killing him, but insists he doesn't believe Saul's denial. The shooter, a fanatic working for the Santee, believes in the Lord's work. Jin brings seeds to Wade, wanting them placed in the staircase capsule with Wade, and Wade refuses, and despite Jin's threats to go higher, he calls her bluff knowing that there's no one above him, and reluctantly Jin prepares for the mission. Meanwhile, Tatiana, hiding in the woods, receives another headset with a note saying, "If one of us survives, we all survive." She puts it on and prepares to play. Saul decides to watch Will's launch into space and meets Jin at ground control. Saul and Jin watch Will's launch into space, and they discuss Will's choice, and Saul emphasizes his deep love for her. Meanwhile, in Mexico, Augie uses her nanofibers to provide clean water to locals, ignoring a call from Saul. Back at ground control, Saul, Jin, and the team watch as Will's ship take off, and the experiment initially seems successful, but the trajectory soon deviates, sending the rocket off course. Wade whispers something to Jin as he leaves, while the rest of the group is left to grapple with their failed project. Wade departs on his plane alone, but soon the electronics glitch, revealing the familiar AI Sophon. They apologize for the staircase project's failure, but inform Wade he is now part of their plan. Meanwhile, Saul and Jin and Clarence reflect on the irony of humanity being called bugs, noting how resilient bugs are despite human efforts to eliminate them. They toast to humanity and walk away together as the series comes to a close.
And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.